Top the afternoon tea, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We're going to do a little, I don't know, kind of a one-off situation. This is actually the special 365 from the Woodlot special video that was aired 3 years ago or something like that. It was in the spring. It's actually still winter right now, but we have a heavy southwest wind blowing some warm air in for a change. But anyway, it's got the early version Psycho sticker on the air cleaner cover. This is Mr. Munster's saw. It started out with a factory big bore 372, which would be the 51.4 millimeter bore. They have a 36 millimeter stroke, the 362, 365, 372, 375, 372 XPW, 372 X torque, kind of all have the same bottom end, so they all have a 36 millimeter stroke. There's some variance in the bore sizes. 50 is generally what they were. There was a couple years from, well, 3 years technically, 7, 8, and 9, 07, 08, 09, where they had a 51.4 millimeter bore. That was actually the cylinder that came off the 372K. I actually found out about those several years prior and was basically putting those cylinder assemblies on my 372 XPs, but that's a digression. I guess I apologize. I'm not gonna lie, we had a little FOD problem with this saw. Mr. Munster was gracious enough not to be all pissed off and sent it back to me, so I really appreciate that part. I'm only human. I'm gonna make mistakes in this process when you're pushing the envelope. We've all seen dragsters not make it off the line. We've seen them get halfway down and blow a rod out the side of the block. I mean, there's just stuff happens. Mechanically, things fail. It's the way it works. But anyway, we opted to go for a little bit more of a high winder, play toy kind of saw, and this saw is tuned at about 14.5 right now, which is about 1,000 RPMs higher than I'm normally dealing with my work saws. They're running 13 to 13.5, or maybe some of them are 14, depending on the brand and model of the saw itself. But anyway, we're gonna rewarm this thing up a little bit. We'll take a look at the diameter. That's very well cured. It was hardwood, some kind of a, it was a poplar and a cottonwood hybridized tree growing out in the middle of the salt flats over here, quote unquote salt flats, where, I mean, the average windfall around this town is, I think, 20 miles an hour or something. It's pretty windy, pretty regular. They were actually pretty decently tough. Well cured, I guess, at this point. That chain, I don't think I've monkeyed with it too much since the brutish 562 saw was handling it. We're gonna spool this thing up a little bit and see how she does. Haven't had a lot of time on this saw, but what I will say is we did a nice little tank protector on here, because if we're gonna be spinning his chain, guy gets squirrely, you never know if you're gonna throw one. And this custom tank protector will keep you from blowing a hole in your tank, which is pretty nice. We got the custom plug as well. All things RPMs, I guess. We're trying with this saw. So we can hear this thing missing really good at about 14.7. Like I said, a little bit of a departure from the work saw concept. This is a play saw. Hopefully it's something that he's happy with, I guess, in the end, right? So one thing I noticed is you cannot pull on that thing like a torque monster saw. We heard me pull it down coming up with the RPMs. We actually heard it. I was slowing it way down. We're still running pretty rich at that 14.7 number. I'm gonna have to run it a little bit more here and there and spool it up and see how she does. I noticed that when you just let the saw do its thing with kind of a decent amount of pressure, it actually cuts through there really fast. I think it's about 8 by 8.5 or something, that cut right there. So we're just kind of going down a different direction a little bit. I call this one the 372 high winder, 50mm bore. So check the description for the timed runs. I'm going to be curious to see how it does, play around with it a little bit more, and maybe we'll go at this again here in a few days. Alrighty, thanks for watching. Have a blessed day wherever you might be on God's green earth.